needs. Visit macandmoresystems.com today.
Just when you thought the chicken sandwich war was over, it's coming back in a big way with Zaxby's new signature sandwich. It's a double hand-breaded filet, split-top bun, 3 zesty pickles, and if that wasn't enough, it's smothered in Zax sauce or new spicy Zax sauce. That's right, it's such a big deal, we made a totally new sauce to give it the kick it deserves. The other guys won't know what hit them. The new Zaxby's signature sandwich. Have you tried it yet?
The following is a live production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network and Real Talk 93.3. Fire up your grills. It's time for Tallahassee GameDay on Warchant TV and Real Talk 93.3.
That pass is intercepted to the delight of all Seminole fans. The pick six.
Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang bring you the latest news, updates, and analysis around the FSU program ahead of today's kickoff on Bobby Bowden Field.
2nd and 3, patient and explosive, and a touchdown for the Noles.
Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Zaxby's, the official chicken of sports fans. Tallahassee Zaxby's, proudly supporting Florida State University and Seminole Boosters for over 10 years. Zaxby's, indescribably good. Now live from Florida's capital city, here's Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron.
It's game day, Seminole fans. Welcome into Tallahassee Game Day. It is great to be with you. Another season upon us. Let's celebrate. Let's take a moment to appreciate and obviously prepare ourselves for Florida State football. I'm Jeff Cameron alongside Tom Lang. Voice guy told you that. Just to reiterate, it is great to be with you. I want to thank our friends at Zaxby's. This unbelievable amount of support from Zaxby's for this pregame show. You'll hear that frequently throughout the broadcast, and for good reason. Just delicious pregame platters that you should be picking up right now as you're on your way over to the tailgate. We've got one here. You'll see the pictures with about 4,000 chicken fingers here. I did my best to plow through about 10 of these.
Right.
Start,
I think there were 4,050 about 20 minutes ago, but we got it down to 4,000.
Yeah, they're delicious, and they're also overly tempting. In that I'm trying to do a broadcast and they're right here to my left. So it's just the wafting beauty that are these chicken fingers. Anyhow, we think Zaxby's, and I'll give you some more insight into the goodness that is Zaxby's, but also a chance to win some tickets later on. So something you're going to want to be a part of all season long on the Tallahassee Game Day. All right. So it feels like we've done all the waiting we could possibly do. I've enjoyed the football, obviously the build until our game. Ultimately, though, it's tough on a Sunday night because you get up this morning, I think a lot of people did, after a day of watching everybody else play, and you're a little envious. You enjoyed that. You saw the experiences with the fans. You saw some upsets. You saw some big games. You're like, okay, that's the appetizer. I'm ready. I'm ready for Florida State football. And then you got to wait all day long. Now, the lots are open, and if you're listening over there at Doak Campbell Stadium, it's good to be with you. Have fun. Cat 5, boys and girls, Cat 5, just so you know. Got to keep it together. It's a ways away from kickoff. But soon enough, it will be here, and we'll get a glimpse of what this Florida State football team can be. And certainly, I think that's the big question mark. It's been interesting. You and I, Tom, have had weeks to talk about, really an entire offseason to talk about what's possible for Mike Norvell, this staff, and a team on the rebuild, on the mend, if you will. And we knew that it's a big game right off the bat because you get tested by a top 10 team. So how they responded, how did camp go? Many of you in town, maybe just tuning in for the first time, kind of getting your mind right for Florida State football again. I can tell you that they had a great spring that carried over into the offseason, and a really, really productive fall camp in the sense that I think the work ethic was there. I think the position battles elevated competition, and that always brings out the best. So, and more importantly, you come into this game, I guess you could say, pretty damn healthy.
Yeah, especially given, how typically a camp you'll be one or two fewer at some key positions by the end of camp every year, every team. And so far, so good. Knock on wood. Hopefully that continues for 60 minutes tonight. I can tell you, though, man, just 10,000 foot view today did feel different. Mm-hmm. Today feels like a game day. And I guess in my older age, I'm getting a little bit more soft because I was listening to the Marching Chiefs on the drive over here 3 hours ago. We were getting prepped, getting ready to go.
Yeah.
And it was like a time warp. I could hear the same tunes in my mom's Toyota Privia back in 1993, driving up from Tampa to Tallahassee. I was 7 or 8 years old, coming up for a game day at the Erector Set, known as Doak Campbell Stadium at the time. And I got a little emotional. I did, man. Today, I've got a full heart. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to see football and not speculate about football.
Sure,
Practice is one thing, games are another. And that's been the theme this week on the Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 3 p.m. every weekday right here on Warchant TV, save for Tuesdays, has been, listen, how can they handle the adversity? How can they handle the speed of live football, not practice? And if something doesn't go right, how do they react? Because in camp, they look mentally tough. Can they carry that over to the games? If they can, we're in business. We're going to have a decent season where you're going to see improvement, and the record should reflect that.
We have ample opportunity throughout this show to break down some of the pivotal matchups, some of the one-on-one matchups, as well as the segment group matchups that we think either benefit Florida State or are something that they have to overcome. But big picture today, honestly, and I would say more than anything else, this is today's top story. Barano Heating and Air Conditioning, our good friends there, sponsoring this segment. I will tell you that the top story for me is, well, I'll say probably somewhere late in the first quarter, early in the second quarter. How do they respond to an adverse moment? How do they respond to a moment? And I'm talking about mentally and body language. We're all going to be paying very close attention because this has been a fragile bunch. I'm not faulting any one person. There's been enough blame to go around. But what did happen to this proud program was that guys somehow, some way became broken. And, of course, we know the locker room there for a time was toxic. They've had to fight the uphill climb and battle to get their minds right, as well as get guys to buy in and believe again. And that's all well and good. You can filter, you can get kids out of that locker room and on to other greener pastures for them if that's what they want. You can try to bring in, through transfers, the kinds of guys you think will buy in and lead responsibly, both on and off the field. But how do you respond in an actual game when the other team begins to make plays or is, at some point physically more dominant in an area than you? Do you fold? Do your shoulders sag? Does your head hang? Or do you continue to fight? Realizing that that's the only way out of this hole that we've dug for ourselves, is to continue to fight and believe in one another and play the next play. Do they do that? Because I think, obviously, long-term, no matter what happens tonight, if they show they're at that place, that serves this program and these kids very well moving forward throughout the rest of the schedule. Maybe it's enough to get a win tonight, maybe. But even in defeat, if that were to happen, I think you would walk out of that stadium saying, okay, there's grit, there's determination, there's belief. I can get behind this. I can watch this. That will lead to wins. We're going to get where we want to go.
Yeah, talking to a lot of people yesterday at Libations Fest, and thank you to everybody who showed up at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. It was a great time. One of the examples that fans would bring to my attention was, hey, you know what? If it looks like Minnesota, Ohio State earlier this week, in which Ohio State was pushed to the brink, that might be enough to satisfy me. Now, that's not going to be every Nole fan. There are going to be some that say, hey, what are we doing? We're still FSU. And you know what? You see upsets happen all the time. Look at this weekend. Coaching matters. If you've got a good coach, that can account for a huge gap in talent.
Sure.
Because you're working around deficiencies. So I want to see a win. That's what maybe some of the other folks are saying. But either way, I'd like to find out more tonight than I have at any point, because last year was a year zero where you can't carry over too many lessons. I'd like to know a little bit more tonight after 60 minutes about this coaching staff. Do we have a good one? I think we do. But do we? This game can help point in that direction. It can help with the confidence level of the Seminole fans and also the buy-in factor. This is a big game. It's going to be a sellout, packed house, but we know how things have gone in recent years. By the middle or end of September, the season has been over for all intents and purposes. We want the interest level to continue into October, into November, and watching apt play, watching good coaching will help people stay invested for longer.
Well, I think most Seminole fans listening to this will have really close eyes on this defense, because last year's game against Notre Dame, which ended poorly, and frankly, the score seemed to indicate a closer game than it really was, because Florida State could not and has not, the last couple of times that they've played Notre Dame, stop the run. And it is really difficult to watch a game in which teams can line up 12 personnel and run the ball down your throat. Now, you can get beat physically, as we've said a lot this week, and you'll live with it as long as your guys are in the right spot and they're fighting and they're sacrificing and they know where to go. Part of the problem a year ago against Notre Dame, they were clueless. They had no idea. Really simple counter plays were going off for 12 to 15 to 17 yards a clip. And, that you can't see that tonight. I'll answer the question. Florida State has a good coaching staff, but there are a couple of guys that step on that field tonight that are in immediate pressure cookers. And they are Adam Fuller and Chris Marv. And I don't think there's any question about that. I think 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers to you. I'm going to give you a bit of a pass for a year ago. We know what a mess of a year it was. We understand there wasn't buy-in. You didn't get a spring, all that stuff. Don't want to relitigate that. Better see a team committed to triggering downhill when they read their keys tonight. Better be willing to bow up and take on blockers and be physical, especially out there on the edges too, because we didn't see that a year ago. Let's hope that's not the case tonight.
Yeah, it's hard to project, obviously, watching a camp and fall practice in which you're going against yourselves. Right? That's not a fair way to assess if the defense is doing well or the offense is doing well, because maybe the other side of the football is not good. We learned this lesson a couple of years ago. Remember, it was on the eve of the Virginia Tech football game on a Monday night, in which one of the scrimmages, the offense scored, it was like 12 touchdowns.
Something ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, they scored none in the opener. We all remember that game. So you don't want to overestimate what you see in practice. But what I can tell you is from last fall to the spring game, you saw an improvement on defense in getting downhill, triggering, making plays, and playing with physicality.
Yeah, willingness to be physical too. A lot of these younger guys that came in are certainly willing to mix it up a little bit.
Does that continue on? Do you see further development where last fall to the spring, okay, looks better? Does it continue to look better from the spring into game number 1? Practice indicates that it should, but we will see.
That's today's top story. It was brought to you by Barano Heating and Air Conditioning, the longtime trusted partner of the Jeff Cameron Show. Turn to the experts at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning for all your cooling and heating needs this fall. Head to BaranoAC.com or call 850-580-4029. Another element, Tom, that I think we have to look closely at here is Notre Dame as buttoned up as they were a year ago or even 2-3 years ago when we went to Chicago together when you were so sick. but that
would be frowned upon these days. Yeah,
that was, yes, it was in more innocent times. But Notre Dame returns just 44% of the offense per a metric that you can find in all the advanced metrics where you really realize who contributed to the offensive production. And they return only 44%. By the way, that's the lowest mark in the nation for returning starter production on offense. It doesn't mean they won't be successful. It doesn't mean they won't have a good offense. It just means that there have been an awful lot of changes to an offense. And it starts with the fact that Ian Book is no longer at quarterback. They turned to Wisconsin transfer Jack Cohn. That's a guy that we've seen play football. And he's a pedestrian quarterback. He's a game manager. Now, you can win with game managers, as we've seen, if you're running the football and you're able to play good defense. You don't turn the football over. You ask him to throw off a play action, kind of intermediate routes. You can win like that. So at the same point, though, you would not normally describe a guy that can win you a game from the quarterback position as a manager. You would point to the more dynamic quarterbacks throughout college football or in the NFL as guys that test you every quadrant of the field and can go lead a team to victory as opposed to managing a game. So I'm glad that Jack Cohn's in. I'm glad that Florida State faces a guy that can't, in all likelihood, by himself, certainly go out there and be the difference in the game. I also like noting that Coach Kelly at the end of camp basically said if there's one thing he wants to see more from Jack Cohn is that his footwork wasn't very good. He's got to be quicker. All right. So you got new offensive linemen, just 44% of the production returning, a new quarterback who might have been a little slow-footed in camp. All right. See,
my goodness.
I'm creating a path for you here.
Look at this.
I'm creating a path for you, everybody. So we'll see. But why do I bring it up? Because I started by talking about Florida State's defense and how active they are, their ability to stop the run. If you do that, you get them behind the chains, you get them off schedule. Suddenly you've got an opportunity to create a pass rush, which has not existed here in some time. So that's why you brought Jermaine Johnson in. That's why they brought in some guys that they thought could make a difference there. It starts by stopping the run, and then maybe you're able to generate a pass rush. That's the path to having some success and having a chance to win this game and get it into the fourth quarter at home, which I think ultimately we're all desperate to see. If something like that happens early in this game, get excited.
I agree on all fronts. And the reason I've been going back and forth on the Warchant report, I predicted one thing, and the matchup analysis, I predicted another. I've been going back and forth because first games are weird. Look around the country. Yeah. Look around the country from Thursday through last night. You see weird scores, halftime numbers that have you going, what? There wasn't an offensive touchdown in the Georgia-Clemson game last night? I mean, are you kidding? Penn State and Wisconsin were scoreless at the half, right? They had 3 more offensive touchdowns in their game than Georgia and Clemson did in their game when they played in the Duke's Mayo Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just weird stuff. And when you have that much turnover, if you're going to catch Notre Dame this season, you want to catch them in week 1. In an odd way, there's more continuity for FSU in a lot of areas than there is for Notre Dame. And then also you add in the rabid atmosphere that we'll have tonight at Doak. And that, I think, is also going to be something that if you're looking for ingredients, we've got a few.
Well, that's well played. You just served that one up right there. It's a chance.
That was unintentional, sir. But
I like the way that you did it.
It's telepathy.
Pre-game, post-game, or no game at all, anytime is the right time for Zaxby's platters. Just as long as you're hungry, feed your team of 12 to 14 with your choice of traditional or buffalo fingers or boneless or traditional wings. If you're having trouble deciding, get the best of both worlds with a sampler platter like the ones I have to my left here. And don't forget that world-famous sauce. Satisfy your chicken craving with Zaxby's platters or online or in the app. Tallahassee Zaxby's, a proud Seminoles booster for over 15 years. More Tallahassee Game Day in a moment.
Attention! It's enough. This has gone on way too long. If we're going to win this thing, we've got to go big.
Introducing Zaxby's new signature sandwich with a double hand-breaded filet, split top bun, and Zax sauce, or new spicy Zax sauce. Only at Zaxby's. Redeem rewards, scan to pay, order ahead on the Zaxby's app.
Tractor or heavy equipment? At Nice Tire and Auto Service, we have tires for all of these needs. And we service your vehicle from air conditioning and computerized alignment to oil changes and everything else under the hood. Call Nice Tire and Auto today at 574-4100. That's 574-4100 for your scheduled maintenance. National accounts welcome at Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
This is Patty Wilson.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're ready.
He's recording.
Why are you always saying your last name? It's Patty and Scott. Everybody knows who Patty and Scott.
I don't know. This is Patty Wilson. This is. I am Patty Wilson.
What is the idea behind said promo?
It's for Patty's Playhouse. We're on Patty's Playhouse Saturdays at 11. Tune in. That's stupid. Just tune in. Saturdays at 11. Patty Wilson, Patty's Playhouse. House talk with a happy ending.
Each and every time.
Tallahassee's 30-year-old funny paper and American Legion Post 13 have joined forces to become Major Morale. The new magazine has 4 more pages of post activities and military information that you probably never knew. But don't worry, it's still as politically correct and newsworthy as always. Okay, it's the same funny stuff, but it's still only available at the sponsors' locations like Krispy Kreme, ABC Flooring, Heath Lawson Services, or Tallahassee Automobile and Collectibles Museum. See over 160 vehicles dating from 1894 to 2016 that include the first car ever built in America, 3 Batmobiles, trucks, and motorcycles. Other artifacts include the finest Steinway piano collection in the world, metal cars, antique boats and motors, sports memorabilia, case knives, and much more. Find them all at Mayhan and I-10 or online at TACM.com.
Lane's Medical Shop is proud to announce the opening of their newest location at 800 North Wiley Avenue in Donaldsonville. Lane's Medical Shop, Southwest Georgia's oldest running durable medical equipment provider, specializing in home medical equipment. They accept and file most insurances, including Medicare and United Healthcare and many more. Lane's Medical Shop, locations now in Conquet and Donaldsonville. Stop by and see owner Blake Womble and staff or call 758-9111 in Conquet or 524-1292 in Donaldsonville.
When the forgotten poor are in need of healing, they wait for a ship unlike any other. Mercy Ships, a floating hospital staffed by volunteers, heroes of mercy who donate their time to save lives.
Every human has the right to have a place at the table of the human race.
If you could just see the smiles that you get when lives have been changed, then it would make it all worth it.
To learn more about Heroes of Mercy, go to mercyships.org.
You went online to switch your car insurance to Progressive so you could save money, but then you saw a friend request from an old summer camp buddy. And now here you are, clicking through photos of his kickball team from 2011. Oh, looks like they won the championship that year. Then he moved to Tulsa. Oh, a new tattoo. Yes, they said it was easy to save hundreds on car insurance with Progressive, but they forgot about the rest of the internet. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. National average savings by new customer surveyed who saved in 2019.
Tallahassee GameDay is brought to you by Zaxby's, the official chicken of sports fans. Tallahassee Zaxby's, proudly supporting Florida State University and Seminole Boosters for over 10 years. Zaxby's, indescribably good. Now here's Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang.
It is great to be with you. It is game day. Florida State, Notre Dame got the slate to themselves tonight. The nation will watch what I think will be a electrifying atmosphere develop. I think, obviously, the pregame activity, the stuff that you see in honor of Coach Bowden will be emotional, but it will also be something that I think galvanizes this group. This is a hungry fan base, Tom. You could sense it all off season as the build to the start of the year began. And really, every day we would come on the air during the wildly popular Jeff Cameron Show, weekdays, Monday through Friday, now 1 to 3 p.m. on 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV. And we would tell people that there's a lot of work to be done, that the roster is not where it needs to be, and people don't want to hear that. The immediate response, whether it would be on Twitter at Jay Cameron Show, if it was an email, whatever it might be, would be, no, man, they had a real spring this time. They've had an off season. You can get a lot better than you were, and you can. We never disagreed with that. The whole thing was, this is a very tough schedule. Let's just start with that. A very tough schedule. So there may very well be tangible growth emotionally, physically. The offense and defense may be coordinated in a way that gives you hope in terms of a game plan beyond the first 15 plays, scripted plays. All of that may happen, and yet you can still lose ball games because you're just not there physically. Now, that we don't know. We don't know which of these games they don't match up. It may very well be that they can end this one, but they did need to see, speaking of which, tangible evidence of growth. I think you will see that regardless of who wins the game tonight. You are going to see a better looking, a better prepared, and a hungrier, faster. I do believe that because now they have a real idea of what they're being asked to do. Florida State football team. Hopefully they play smart. Hopefully they're not overly emotional. Hopefully there's an opportunity for them to prove how much growth there's been from a series to series deep into this game. You see all of that.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges for this coaching staff tonight is going to be to make sure everybody stays level-headed. Of course, you want to play the game with energy and passion, but the way this building is going to be frothing at the mouth on the one hand, but then also somber on the other. This is a very interesting pregame to go through, and I'm looking at it just clinically. Of course, it's going to be touching and sad when you see the memories and the tributes to Bobby Bowden before kickoff. But then also, we've been itching for years now to get back together in earnest to watch what we love to watch. Yeah, it's on a Sunday night. We typically like our Saturdays. But this is something that Nole fans across the country have been waiting for a long time. College football the way it's supposed to feel. And it has felt that way this week. So for the coaching staff, you've got to make sure that the players don't get too amped up. Make mistakes out of too much passion and emotion rather than sticking to the plan and doing their job. They didn't have to worry about that last year. First of all, we weren't very good. Secondly, the stands were at most filled at 30 to 50%. So it's going to be a new thing for them tonight. But again, from what I've seen in camp, these guys are prepared. These guys do work hard. There were a couple of days in full pads. I remember the week where they went Monday to Sunday nonstop. There was football every day. I remember that Friday practice. They had just come off of a big-time physical, chirpy kind of Thursday where the offense was getting after the defense and vice versa. And I saw them get through it on Friday. There was no pouting. Guys weren't walking over to the sidelines and taking a break when they weren't supposed to. The coaches didn't have to wrangle them.
Yeah.
That shows mental toughness. Okay, so that's one barrier cleared. But you got to be mentally tough to be able to handle this type of atmosphere. We always talk about the adversity of going on the road. Sometimes there's adversity in being in front of a fan base that is rabid and ready to go in your own building, and that's what they're going to have to deal with tonight.
it's always a balance to keep your emotions in check, but also play fast with emotion, with energy. It's a fine line. And guys, usually that's sort of the area where you learn that over time. You learn because adrenaline is a very real thing, and you can tire yourself out very, very quickly if you're not able to wrangle that, if you're not able to breathe and focus and all of those things. And early on, you see a lot of mistakes where players over pursue on defense, for example, trying to make a play, so eagerly wanting to get to the spot,
or a late hit and unsportsmanlike.
Like that.
Yeah,
you see a lot of that. Now, listen, I think emotions will run high for both teams tonight. I think Notre Dame is eager to come in here and prove that they're one of the best teams in the country. I think they want to obviously establish that same sort of physicality that they were able to establish a year ago when they faced Florida State, because let's be honest, if you're that coaching staff, if you're Coach Kelly, you're telling your guys, we have physically whipped this team the last couple times we've faced them, and it hasn't been close. We have dominated them physically. Let's establish that nothing's changed, because they'll go ahead and coil back into their shell if we establish early on that we're the same monster that they couldn't slay before. Florida State will be eager to say, not this time. That's not who we are. That team is not this team. We're here 4 quarters. Let's go. We've got anything you want. We'll play it any way you want to play it. So both teams will be charged emotionally, and they want to establish early on that they're not going to back down from the other. That's true of first games. That's true of big games. That's true of night games. That's true when you're dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. So that'll be fun to watch, to see which team can keep their head, but also who is able to firmly establish either and dictate sort of how they want to play the game. For Florida State, again, so much focus is always on a quarterback. And, of course, throughout this camp, it was about who's going to play quarterback. And the whole time I kept thinking, no, man, I'm not as concerned about that. Obviously, I'm interested. But can this defense establish a realm of physicality? That's the only chance you have, no matter who the hell is playing quarterback. Can you get stops? Are you in the game in the second quarter? Do you have a chance in the middle of the third quarter to look up and go, all right, we got a one-score game. Let's go. Last year so often it wouldn't have mattered. If Joe Montana were at quarterback, you couldn't stop anybody else from scoring. It rendered it all moot.
Yeah, you got me fired up, and the army of chickens over my left shoulder as well. They're fired up. You can see them. They're kind of stirring over here. It's funny because if you look at the FSU offense against the Notre Dame defense, just as a matchup, we got keys to the game we could talk about for each side of the ball later. That's the tougher one to figure. Obviously, Florida State has quarterback questions, but then Notre Dame's got a new defensive coordinator. And how much more of the playbook is open for Mike Norvell? These are questions that will be answered tonight. But if you're talking about Notre Dame's offense against Florida State's defense, even with the attrition year over year for Notre Dame's offense, the game plan's simple. You could have handicapped this one 6 months ago, or at least talked about what the keys would be, right? Notre Dame is going to try to run it down our throat again. Are we strong enough? Are we apt enough to be able to neutralize it to the point where they're in some 3rd and 5s and 3rd and 6s? That's it. That has been the story. As soon as that game was over and we knew that we were kicking off with Notre Dame again to start the 2021 season, you knew that's what they're going to do. I mean, it's the other side of the coin. We were talking about it with Alabama and Miami. The spread was only 18.5, 19 points. That was a little light if you paid attention to that game yesterday at 3:30. It's, on the one hand, you don't have Mac Jones anymore. You don't have Smith anymore. You don't have a lot of the pieces, Najee Harris, that made you what you were if you're Alabama. On the other hand, you got a bunch of dudes who are Alabama caliber who can't wait to prove themselves. Right? So that's the bad news for Miami. That's what they found out yesterday. So if you're trying to be optimistic from a Notre Dame standpoint, even with all these changes, these guys have been waiting forever for this opportunity to prove themselves, and that's what this is tonight. That's where this game is really simple on that side of the ball. Our defense against their offense, they're both trying to prove something tonight.
And like you said, we have opportunities later in the show, and we're definitely going to do this looking in certain keys for every segment group. So listen, we're not going to ignore the fact that they brought in Marcus Freeman. And oh, by the way, Clark Lea, the defensive coordinator who left to take the head coaching position at Vanderbilt, as an aside, managed to lose last night to East Tennessee State, buddy. By 20. Just an aside. I just thought I'd work that in.
What do East Tennessee State, Georgia, and Clemson all have in common? They didn't allow an offensive touchdown last night.
There it is.
You're in great company.
Make sure you order ahead. Want to go from 0 to Zaxby's in no time flat. Order ahead online or in the app. Just click order now, select the location, then start ordering. Get exactly what you want, how you want it, right when you need it. And when you're ready to pick it up, let us know you're here, and you can skip to the front of the line. It's that easy. At Zaxby's.com or download the app to get started. Tallahassee Zaxby is a proud Seminoles booster for over 15 years.
Looks like you're enjoying you some Zaxby's.
Oh, look at that picture. Look at that. If you're watching on Warchant TV, I didn't know Matthew snapped this beauty here.
That was one hungry cameraman, too.
I was hungry. I was like, look at that. I mean, look at it. It's a glorious thing. Also, by the way, guys, it's not normal for us on a pregame show, and we're going to break, so I can do this. I see you guys out there. Thank you, Todd. Anybody else that we need to flash up there? I saw
Eric, as always.
Yeah, man, Eric.
Wish we spent a little bit more time, or at least I did with you yesterday, Eric. I got caught up after I grabbed him the big cider.
Austin helped us. Shane came through huge here. Thanks, guys. And a lot of you had nice things to say about us joining Warchant. It's been awesome to go and have these events and be part of these things early on, and it's good to be with all of you guys and be able to talk to you. I appreciate you a lot. All right, so it's Tallahassee Game Day. More in a moment.
Imagine a salad made with only the freshest vegetables, with grilled or hand-breaded chicken, and topped with Southwest Ranch dressing. Big enough to fill you up without weighing you down. Made to order, when you order, in that order. Try our new Southwest salad with fire-roasted corn, tomatoes, and crispy tortilla strips. Just one of our made-to-order salads, only at Zaxby's. Redeem rewards, scan to pay, order ahead on the Zaxby's app.
Just wanted to feel it. Excuse me? I wanted to feel what it was like to have an amazing lawn like you do. It always looks so good, even in the summertime. How do you do it, neighbor? They're called Lawn Johns. They come once a week. Maybe you should give them a call so you can tell other people to stay off your lawn. How's that sound? Ooh, yes. I would love to tell people to stay off my lawn. For the very best in lawn care, call the Lawn Johns at 850-322-2567. Stay off my lawn.
If you're an attorney who struggles with the balance of managing your practice and practicing law, consider Lexicon as your #1 pick. From client intake to billing and all that comes in between, Lexicon doesn't miss a thing. Our comprehensive solution combines best-in-class software and services to take care of your firm's most critical challenges, automating many of the tasks that take time out of your day. It's all about giving you more of your billable hours back. And who doesn't love more revenue? No more searching for practice management that works. Lexicon marks the spot. Visit lexiconservices.com to learn what Lexicon can do for you.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Hi, I'm Jeff, founder of Which Superior Sandwiches, and I'm here to tell you about our signature witch, the Wicked. Why call it the Wicked? Some say it's wicked tasty, some say it's wicked large. One thing's for sure, with oven-roasted turkey, ham, pepperoni, roast beef, and bacon, as well as your choice of 3 cheeses, it definitely takes you from wicked hungry to wicked happy in just a few wicked good bites. Only at Which Superior Sandwiches.
On Wednesday, the Wicked is just $5. 5 meats, 3 cheeses, $5.
Greg Tish, Real Talk 93.3.
Hey everybody, this is Greg Tish. Thank you so much for listening to Real Talk 93.3. Don't forget you can check out me and Maddie Rowe every Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the Greg Tish Show. Wake up with a smile with the Greg Tish Show. How's that sound, Maddie Rowe? Is that a good promo for you?
That's good enough for me.
Is that good? Are we at 30 seconds yet?
Right about now.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Zaxby's, the official chicken of sports fans. Tallahassee Zaxby's, proudly supporting Florida State University and Seminole Boosters for over 10 years. Zaxby's, indescribably good. Now here's Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang.
Time now for the offensive keys to the game. Brought to you by the Hobbit American Grill. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating over 40 years of serving good times to good people for great memories. Get your game day going at 2020 West Pensacola Street. More locations at myhobbitonline.com. I remember going over to Hobbit 93, 94, 95. Man.
Yeah, for me it was
been a long time.
06, 07,
yes,
08. Yeah.
I know our age difference.
Different generations, but they're always there. They're always there.
Yeah, so listen, we mentioned it a moment ago, Marcus Freeman is an elite defensive coordinator. He comes in for Notre Dame. from Cincinnati. And this was a really smart hire, a great hire. In fact, a hire that made me jealous. Nothing against you, Coach Fuller. We'll see. Hopefully this all works out, and I'm rooting for him. But, man, when Freeman was available, I thought, well, that's a known commodity right there. That guy can really coach. Cincinnati's defense was elite. He's also one of the best recruiters in the country. So, it's a good combination to have.
That's a 1-2 and a half.
That's a hell of a 1-2. Now, if you must know, just if you're wondering about the X's and O's, Freeman runs a 3-3-5. They blitz a ton. So get ready. You'll see it coming from lots of different places. That is different from the 4-2-5 package, which is what the Irish were in a year ago. They need Kurt Hinish to kind of wreak havoc in the middle. He does. And I'm kind of surprised sometimes by that because he's not that big a dude, comparably speaking. But he is able to play, that nose position in a way that is very difficult to handle up front. So he brings a lot of experience, obviously, and he is kind of one-gap guy and really strong, and his pad level is great. So that's how it all works. And then from there, they bring pressure from all different kinds of ways, and they run stunts, and they'll make it interesting. Let's hope Florida State's protections are firmly entrenched. Let's put it that way. Guys understand, and since we're talking about the offensive keys to the game, that's why I started with Notre Dame's defense. The look will be fascinating tonight. It's probably the matchup I'm most concerned about, in that we know that Notre Dame is going to be well coached at the position. We know that Notre Dame is going to blitz because he does. We know they're going to be multiple because that's exactly what he does. He'll move in and out of that 3-3-5. So it's a bit disconcerting since we've had an offensive line the last number of years that has been willing to give it up.
So you are a boxing aficionado. You were, especially growing up when boxing was, more in the
relevant.
Yes. Yeah, right. Yeah. There we go. There's the word. So what weight class would you say had the most action to it, where you just had to, there was a timing factor? If you can get home, if you can get that one punch when the opening was there, was it welterweight, middleweight?
Well, listen, in a heavyweight fight, those guys are all so big, you're one punch away from being knocked out if you get got.
Right.
But in my heyday watching boxing, you're talking about Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Kevin Durant. So I would just tell you that is Roberto Durant. I would tell you
Kevin Durant.
I just said I heard it out loud as I was talking.
He couldn't bench 220 once.
One time, Roberto Durant. There was the most action was amongst the middleweights for a long, long time.
That's what this fight's going to be like between Florida State's offense and Notre Dame's defense.
Yeah.
Because Mike's multiple and Marcus Freeman is multiple. So you might have a perfect play call for 80% of the defenses, but Freeman has just called something wild that you don't typically see. And so he makes the perfect call against Mike's good design.
Right.
It's hard. It's really hard in this way to draw up a play and a matchup, because you just don't know what the other side is going to align like. And you got to get off your keys. If it was Mickey Andrews back in the day or the Miami Hurricanes, you knew what they were going to run, and you might be able to devise something against a simple two-man underlook, right?
But we had better players, so you could do that.
We had better players, and we were going to get home before you could do anything about it. That was the point. In this instance, I don't know what the hell you're going to see out of Notre Dame, because you're also coming from one defensive philosophy to another. And if you paid attention to the coverage up there, the local beats in Notre Dame and South Bend, it's a terrible beat to cover in that town. They had no idea what to expect in this first game, because you're right, Marcus Freeman is multiple. This is his credo. He says they're multiple up front and they're consistent in their coverages. So they want to flex their muscle with the front seven, sometimes 4 down linemen, sometimes 3, sometimes linebackers lined up the middle, sometimes there's an overload to one side. It's just hard to figure. So the key on offense is to make sure your checks are solid and your assignments are paid attention to, because remember last year in the first half, talking about Florida State's offensive line, Mike Norvell said they ran some stunts and some twists at us, and we didn't know what was happening. But by the second half, we had figured it out, and the assignments were sound. Well, Devontae Love-Taylor in this game is going to be a key on offense, because even when he was playing tackle here in Tallahassee,
called out the protections.
He would call out the protections. Right now, he's listed on the depth chart as the starting right guard. So from the right guard position, he's going to be calling the checks. So will the quarterback, and maybe that's a key. Who is going to be the quarterback for the bulk of tonight's action? You've got to be on your P's and Q's, because you have to be ready for anything at any moment. That's what this Notre Dame defense is going to be about.
Don't miss high down the middle. Don't miss high down the seams. It's Kyle Hamilton, one of the elite safeties in all the land, and that's another guy that you can circle. He's a surefire first-round pick. So they've got players over there that you keep a close eye on. Him being I think, chief amongst them. He is a first rounder, as I say, and really an instinctive player. He's physical as well. He's a great athlete. So that's a guy that I worry about. You're gonna have to find him. You're gonna have to find him before every snap, because that is a big time football player. Again, if you just look at the percentages, Freeman compared to last year's defensive coordinator for Notre Dame, worlds apart in blitz percentage. Freeman brings a lot more pressure. We're going to see more pressure tonight than we did a year ago.
And what do you do when you pressure on the outsides of the corners? You bring them up closer to the line of scrimmage. You play press because you can afford to.
Well, you can afford to.
You're assuming that you're going to get home.
Let's say this right off the bat. Florida State's receivers are a huge question mark tonight. We all know this. And if you're going to have to play a physical defense early on that is in press man, obviously you have to prove you can get the hell off the line. Now, which of these guys is going to get off the line? Now, it's nice, by the way, to be able to move some of your quicker guys around, and we've seen a renewed health for a few guys. You can move them inside and create that way. But out on the edges, you are going to have to see one of these younger guys, I think. I mean, to me, Malik McClain's going to have to make plays to show he can get off the line. You know, can you be physical? He's got the body for it.
Right, and that's something that Mike said during camp. Coach Norvell is, listen, you know, these guys are being fast-tracked, a lot of these younger receivers. And you could see it in the way his face looked as he said it and the tone of how he delivered it, which is, you know, all things being equal, we don't want to do this, but we have to. This is the position that we're in with this roster, is that some guys need to be pressed into live reps, game reps, probably sooner than they should, but hopefully they respond. What that means is on the perimeter, if you want to make plays on the perimeter today, it's going to have to be with the wide receivers blocking successful on the outside.
Yes, indeed.
Because I think if you're going to get fat, it's in the middle of the field between the seams. Now they've got an all-world safety, as you're talking about. This is not an ideal matchup on this side of the ball. But if you're trying to find where is a receiver going to be open, it's probably going to be in the middle of the field with a Keyshawn Heltner, Cam McDonald, or somebody else.
Yeah, I was going to say scheme it open with Keyshawn, because he's a guy whose athleticism and explosiveness has, returned. And that's a guy that maybe gets a matchup where he's able to make a play and then make somebody miss. He's the kind of guy that could do that for us. Florida State doesn't have a lot of those guys. Not even a Malik McClain. He's a big body type. Brian Robinson's a young, big body type. But those guys aren't burners per se. They're not guys that you expect to be scoreboard changers per se. That's basically Keyshawn Helton's role, I think, here. I don't know if you think Pokey can do that for us a little bit.
He can make a guy miss. I don't know about down the field, but,
right.
In a short area, if you got him out in a flare, he can make one guy miss if you miss a block.
Jordan Travis, I suspect, will be the guy tonight on offense, and I think they're going to move him around. They're going to have to move him around. Yeah. Obviously, he's a guy who has gained an awful lot of confidence this camp in throwing the football. So even though you want to play to some strengths, which is that mobility, as a carrier of the football, he was one of the most dynamic players in the country a year ago, just looking at the yards per rush metric. But the thing is, can you do it from the pocket and then call design runs for him when you want to, not because a play broke down? You got to make him play you honest, and you can only really do that if you're throwing the ball successfully from the pocket and obvious passing downs. 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. Can he complete and keep drives going? A year ago, the only way he did that was with his legs. You can't sustain that. You also take an awful lot of hits doing that, and he's not a guy that has shown to be overly durable.
If he shows the level of improvement in a game that he has shown in fall camp and fall practice, again, this is our own opinion. We can't give trade secrets away, but we can speak on what we've seen. If he shows that level of improvement in a game that we've seen in fall camp, we're in business. I think maybe not tonight to win this game, but you've got something to work with
moving forward,
because it's a nightmare to defend given how elusive he is as a runner.
The Zaxby's Game Day VIP upgrade contest is in full flight. Heads up, you're going to want to be a part of this. Zaxby's has donated their season tickets to you. Heard that right. For every home game this season, Zaxby's is hooking up one lucky fan with the ultimate seating upgrade. You can win a pair of 50-yard line seats, perfect seats at that, to get the Noles' next home game. All you have to do is head to Twitter, tag Warchant and Zaxby's with a photo or video of your Nole experience. So you can shoot a video of yourself at a tailgate with your friends having a big time, your fan man cave, whatever that would be, your reaction to a big play, something along those lines. Whatever basically being a Nole means to you, we want to see it. We'll select the winner the Wednesday before the Noles' next home game and then show off your entry during our next pregame show. That's in just 3 days, by the way. So get to work, everybody. Make sure to tag Warchant and Zaxby's with your fan photo or video, and good luck to you all. Our thanks to Zaxby's, the official chicken of sports fans, for providing the tickets all season long. More Tallahassee Game Day in a moment.
It's pool season, and the huge pool...
Attention! It's enough. This has gone on way too long. If we're going to win this thing, we've got to go big.
Introducing Zaxby's new signature sandwich with a double hand-breaded filet, split top bun, and Zax sauce, or new spicy Zax sauce. Only at Zaxby's. Redeem rewards, scan to pay, order ahead on the Zaxby's app.
Out the jewelry store.
It's wedding season in Tallahassee, and also that means that it's anniversary season in Tallahassee. This is a time of year where you look back on your wedding. You bought anything nice for your wife recently? I mean, that was the greatest day of y'all's life. Why not celebrate it all over again by heading to my good friends at Benthalta Jewelry on FSU Parkway, in the same place they've always been. Love is in the air, and Benthalta can help make that love last. Now sing along with me, and I'll see you at Benthalta.
Benthalta Jewelry, Benthalta Jewelry, Benthalta Jewelry, oh, the good nice guys.
Hey guys, it's Greg Tish. You've heard me talk about Southeast Portable Buildings on my show in the past. Now I want to tell you about a new discount program available to everyone who is looking for a portable building in the very near future. If you order now and wait, you'll get a discount rate. Man, that's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it? If you're in the market for a new storage building, you can order now, get it later, and save money instantly. I can go on and on about the ways you can use a new storage building on your own property. Sure, you can use it for storage, but you can also turn these things into anything you can think of, like a workout room, a recording studio, a yoga studio, or a mini repair shop if you're a car enthusiast. And think about this. If you've been paying for a storage unit and you're throwing away that rent money, get a portable building that actually adds value to your life rather than being an expense. Go by and see Southeast Portable Buildings today on West Tennessee Street, just west of Capitol Circle. And tell Mike you want to order now and wait so you can get the discount rate.
Our friends at Triangle Sales bring you an opportunity to enjoy a one-of-a-kind experience presented by Bud Light. It's the Bud Light Sideline Experience Contest. If you're a Nole in Tallahassee, text Bud Light Fan, all one word, to 31996. That's Bud Light Fan to 31996. If you're the lucky winner, you score 2 sideline passes, hospitality passes, and fan gear for the FSU and Miami game on November 13th. That's Bud Light Fan, all one word, to 31996. Must be 21 or older to enter. Please enjoy Bud Light responsibly. A message from local Anheuser-Busch distributor Triangle Sales.
Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Zaxby's, the official chicken of sports fans. Tallahassee Zaxby's, proudly supporting Florida State University and Seminole Boosters for over 10 years. Zaxby's, indescribably good. Now here's Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang.
And it is great to be with you. Today's Sub of the Game, or Which of the Game, is served by Which Superior Sandwiches. Did you know, Tallahassee? That's on Wednesdays. The Wicked is just $5. 5 bones, 5 meats, 3 cheeses, $5. Head to any of the Which's 3 Tallahassee locations for a superior sandwich today. Some numbers to know here, and we'll go to the sub in a moment in terms of the sub of the day. 75th season of football in Tallahassee this year, and at a 74.6% winning percentage. Florida State has the 4th highest in the country since 1976. We've been a spoiled fan base, to say the least. 45 consensus All-Americans in that time. That's the 10th most ever. And 44 first-round NFL draft picks since 1973. That's the 6th highest total of any program in the country as well. So these last 3 years, that's been foreign to us. That is not what you do. That's not okay.
Yeah, and September in general for the last 5 years has not been okay. Can it be a good one?
Can it be tonight, Tom?
Well, we'll see about tonight, but as long as you handle business in this first month against Wake Forest, Louisville, and Syracuse, then I think we would call September a success, no matter what happens in this particular game. I think Syracuse might be just to begin the month of October, but you'd have real momentum heading into the halfway point. And you talked about it at the opening of the show. that the way the schedule lays out is not easy, but you can get fat on the schedule in the first half before the bye week. That's when you have to make hay.
You have to make hay there, and it would be a massive boost to this team's confidence and belief that they're going bowling, that they're back on track if you were to pull the upset tonight, because the next few games are all imminently winnable, to say the least. And the next thing you know, you got a 4 or 5 game winning streak and you're feeling very good about yourself. And that might be enough to sustain and potentially lead to some upsets in the back half of a very difficult schedule.
So the good thing is, for the sub of the game or the witch of the game, you really have a lot of choices, more choices than we've had in previous years, where we're just hoping that the starting group on both sides of the ball is, average enough. So after consulting with the Army of Chickens during the break, I have decided that my sub of the game will be Trayshawn Ward. Trayshawn Ward is not a name in the running back core that you would say should get 70 or 80% of the snaps entering fall camp, but all he's done is earn a scholarship here, earn praise from his position coaches, from Mike Norvell, and he's a reliable player who is where he needs to be when he needs to be there. He can make people miss in the open field. He's got some games when we can catch passes. If you know anything about the Mike Norvell offense last year, it's going to be a continuation of it. There's going to be a lot of screens and quick hitting passes. You need a running back that you can rely upon who has the skills to catch the ball in motion, get downfield, and get hidden yards. That's who Trayshawn Ward is. I'm excited to see him out there tonight in certain packages. So for me, he would be the sub of the game.
It's a good choice, and it's one that I had chose before you did. So now
Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly.
I was reserving Shaheem Brown for you.
No,
I figured that's where you were going to go.
It's where I went the second you just said what you did. So yes, thank you. You nailed it. Shaheem Brown is
the Army of Chickens, and you picked the same player.
Yeah, he's a great player, Shaheem Brown, and Kevin Noles is another guy. So if I was going to submit to you 2 young guys that I think on defense will play a big role, that technically aren't starters. They're all rotating in, but it would be those 2 guys. Also, just to note here, Jadarius Green McKnight, I know we're not allowed to just pick everybody, but here's the thing. Defensively, Florida State's lacking at linebacker. They're kind of supplanting some of their traditional linebackers with more speed. And so you need bigger safeties that can play a role of linebacker, or what would have been traditionally a linebacker, in coverage. And I think those guys are all going to play a big role, because some of the guys that have switched positions or came in somewhat ready-made would be these guys that come in at 6'2", 205, 210 right off the bat. Obviously, they're going to want to get them bigger, but those are guys that do play physical, have the body type to play a lot of college football early in their careers, and can run in coverage. And Florida State, will be exploited if those guys don't play a big role tonight and play well, because the other more traditional linebackers may be one-dimensional.
Fully understanding that you can't pick everybody, I'll segue to the linebacker group and just generally talk about them, not as a witch of the game. But given what Notre Dame wants to do, are you going to go smaller with coverage guys at the linebacker level, or is it a night in which Amari Gaynor and DJ Lundy see a lot of time?
Yeah, they'll see a ton of time. They have to. I mean, Gaynor is in that stud position. Lundy's the Mike. Those are guys you're going to see on the field a lot, and they're guys. And Lundy, by the way, incredibly quick for a guy his size, but he is still 250-plus pounds. I don't like that in coverage. It's not a matchup that you'd want to see. But running downhill, blowing up the run game, yeah. And let's hope they're active. I thought Florida State played defense on its heels last year. I thought Florida State played defense passively last year. I thought Florida State played defense unconvincingly. This was a group that didn't have an awful lot of smarts to them, an awful lot of passion to them, and certainly not a lot of toughness to them. And let's see if this group may be energized by having a greater understanding, and then also a chance to be more aggressive. And when you play more aggressive, you do less thinking. Obviously, you have to play fast and you have to play physical. If they can get into that role early on, maybe the confidence grows and all those guys begin to create some doubt in Jack Cohn and this Notre Dame offense.
Well, you said the word role, so that's where I'll go, because in talking to Adam Fuller at the outset of fall camp, we had a media luncheon where we had time to talk to coordinators and assistant coaches. One thing Adam Fuller told us was the time is now to carve out roles in the secondary, on the defense in general, because there's a lot of versatility. That's great. You can line up some guys at safety or corner, or maybe safety, linebacker, whatever it is. They needed to figure out who's going to line up where and what is their job. And he sounded like that he was out of time. He said it needs to happen now. And one thing that I think has happened now with position changes like Green McKnight or Akeem Dent to safety, Amari Gaynor, even finding a home. He's not an edge rusher. Okay, fine. He's going to be at the second level as a stud, but he's also going to be an inside linebacker at times. Fine. Simplify it. Travis J at corner. They have found a way to siphon off some of these versatile players and put them in one place, in one home as a position. And that's going to be vitally important as you're trying to establish a culture. When you're trying to do your job, play fast, worry about fewer things, right? Then the roles need to be made clear. We didn't have that last year.
No, we didn't have much last year.
No, we threw stuff against the wall.
Yeah. And again, I think last year was unlike any year we've ever seen in college football. I think it had by far and away the greatest impact on defenses really all over the country, but especially in places which you had new coordinators and you didn't have a spring. That's a hell of a thing to have to overcome when you are brand new and you can't even go through install and actually teach what you're trying to do physically out on a field, but rather in a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, what I'm hoping for from the linebacker group in general this year is that the contributions are at a level like Vishal and James B., who have just made contributions to this program. If they can contribute to this defense at the level of those two gentlemen for Tallahassee GameDay, we're going to be in business, man.
I love you working that in, brother. That is exactly what
you got
do.
to. Today's a happy day for everybody.
That is what you do. If you need a break from your traditional same old salads, you want to give your taste buds a vacation from the ordinary, then try Zaxby's new Southwest salad with warm hand-breaded chicken, fire-roasted corn, juicy tomatoes, crispy Santa Fe tortilla strips, all in a bed of mixed greens and topped with the Southwest ranch dressing. It's made to order using only the freshest ingredients, and it's only at Zaxby's, a proud Seminole Booster of Florida State football for over 15 years. Hour number 2 will be joined by Corey Clark of Warchant.com and get his perspective on what tonight means. That's coming up next in hour 2 of Tallahassee GameDay.
Imagine a salad made with only the freshest vegetables, with grilled or hand-breaded chicken, and topped with Southwest ranch dressing. Big enough to fill you up without weighing you down. Made to order, when you order, in that order. Try our new Southwest salad with fire-roasted corn, tomatoes, and crispy tortilla strips. Just one of our made-to-order salads, only at Zaxby's. Redeem rewards, scan to pay, order ahead on the Zaxby's app.
Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards says he's very concerned now about yet another storm moving into the Central Gulf that could affect Louisiana later in the week. He says the region can't take much more right now. Edwards says the power is still out for a lot of people, and it could be a while before it's restored.
I'm asking you to be patient. I'm asking you to be good neighbors to one another. And I know that you will be. You always are. Louisianans are nothing if not faithful and resilient and good and decent and compassionate. And this is when it's needed the most.
Meanwhile, in remnants of that hurricane in the northeastern United States, a lot of flooding the past few days. The death count now, 51. Also at townhall.com, analysts say auto prices will remain high because of a parts shortage.
A shortage of computer chips that had sent auto prices soaring appeared to be easing, but that hope has now dimmed. A surge in COVID cases from the Delta variant in several Asian countries that are the main producers of auto-grade chips is worsening the supply shortage. Analysts say record high prices for vehicles, new and used, as well as rental cars, will extend into next year and possibly 2023. Beyond autos, vital components for goods ranging from farm equipment and industrial machinery to sportswear and kitchen accessories are also bottled up at ports around the world as demand outpaces supply in the face of a resurgent virus. I'm Julie Walker.
Weekend shootings, 4 dead in Houston, 4 dead in Florida, 3 killed in Washington, 7 wounded in Athens, Georgia, and a well-known attorney in South Carolina shot and wounded 3 months after his wife and son were murdered. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term providers help thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085. 800-555-2085.
Town Hall News is sponsored by Lawson & Lawson Electric. For commercial, industrial, and residential electrical services, choose the good guys. Lawson & Lawson Electric. Call 562-4111 or find out more online at llelectric.com.
Choose Hearth & Patio for custom fireplaces, maintenance, outdoor grills, kitchens, fire pits, lighting, and so much more. Check out all of Hearth & Patio's options online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth & Patio, they keep the home fires burning.
Growing up, my dad used to take me to the game at the stadium. We'd watch our favorite team play, and then we'd always eat at Zaxby's. That's why it means so much to me that Zaxby's is the official chicken of college fans. To me, they go together perfectly. It reminds me of my dad and...
Oh, come on, Ref! Are you serious? Get some glasses! Terrible call!
Now I take my kids to the game, and we always eat at Zaxby's too. It's tradition.
We're proud to be the official chicken of college fans. Zaxby's, indescribably good.
The following is a live production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network and Real Talk 93.3. Fire up your grills. It's time for Tallahassee Game Day on Warchant TV and Real Talk 93.3.
That pass is intercepted to the delight of all Seminole fans. The pick six.
Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang bring you the latest news, updates, and analysis around the FSU program ahead of today's kickoff on Bobby Bowden Field.
2nd and 3, patient and explosive, and a touchdown for the Noles.
Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Zaxby's, the official chicken of sports fans. Tallahassee Zaxby's, proudly supporting Florida State University and Seminole Boosters for over 10 years. Zaxby's, indescribably good. Now live from Florida's capital city, here's Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron.
And away we go for hour number 2 of Tallahassee Game Day. Time to slide into the sideline report, brought to you by Bud Light. Tallahassee residents, this one's for you. It's the Bud Light Sideline Experience Contest. If you're a Nole in Tallahassee, text Bud Light Fan, all one word, to 31996. That's Bud Light Fan, all one word, to 31996. If you're the lucky winner, you score 2 sideline passes, hospitality passes, and fan gear for the FSU and Miami game on November the 13th. Must be 21 or older to enter. Please enjoy responsibly. And to do so, we talk with our man, Corey Clark, Warchant.com's own. Hello, brother. How are you?
I'm good, Jeff. How are you doing, buddy? You doing all right?
I'm doing really well. I'm excited. It's finally here. I feel like the buildup has been interminable, but now we're ready to watch football. I'm ready to go. What are you most excited about seeing tonight? I know we've talked about every angle imaginable. What is Corey Clark most excited to see tonight?
I mean, other than your dad, I wouldn't mind seeing your dad again one more time.
He'll be there.
Okay, good. I would say I want to see an explosive offense. Like the defense will be better, but it's not going to be like that. It won't be anything probably like the Georgia Clemson game we saw last night. You don't have that kind of defense. So the defense will take some lumps, and we know it's not going to be great. I'm really interested to see what this offense can do with 9 months to prepare, healthy-ish. You got a lot of backs. You got some receivers you like that are at least pretty good, that are veterans. I want to see what this offense looks like at full capacity or close to full capacity. I know it's a tough opener against Notre Dame, but I believe in these dudes on the offensive side of the ball, and I want to see what kind of game plan they put together. And if they could put up 30 or 35 points, something like that.
Well, it's interesting because Freeman comes over from Cincinnati as the new DC at Notre Dame. He's one of the better recruiters and schemers in the country as a defensive coordinator. But to your point, Mike Norvell had success against him. Obviously, Memphis and Cincinnati competed for the AAC championship, and Norvell won both those games and was able to move the ball. And he's got experience having success against this guy. but he also had a more established group on offense. Do you think this offense is ready to take that step against this Notre Dame defense? Can they hold up on the offensive line in order to get done what Mike's going to ask his quarterbacks to do tonight?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? The answer, the answer. I know I'm supposed to give an exact answer. I don't know. I'm that's another thing you're kind of interested in, right? Are they going to get blown back off the ball, or they can hold up a little bit? They did okay against them last year, and now that had a lot to do with the quarterback running for 100 yards.
Mm-hmm.
But Webb had 60 yards rushing on like 11 or 12 attempts. Like they did okay against them last year running the ball, a lot because of Jordan Travis, but there were some holes there. I would assume this offensive line is going to be better. So I do think that I think they can hold their own. They're not going to be incredible. Do you think this will be probably the second best defensive line they face all season? Probably.
Yeah,
That's not a great way to start.
No, Clemson will be the first by far, but yes, Notre Dame probably second best. Yep.
So that's a tough opener. That's a tough ask, especially with a few guys that maybe haven't played together. But yeah, I think. I think they'll be better. I think they'll have their moments, and I also think there's going to be some times when you rub your hands over your eyes and like, oh, not again, not another 2nd and 22, or not another false start. Like there'll be some growing pains with this offensive line, but I think they'll be better, and I think they could be good enough. They should be good enough to give you 4 or 5 opportunities to score tonight. Whether you take advantage, we'll see. But I don't think they're just going to be turnstiles.
What's the most – okay, so to me, obviously we all want to see a win. Every Florida State fan listening to this would obviously want to see a win. But aside from that happening, and they could win, not saying it's guaranteed they're going to lose this game, what's the most important thing for you to see? What would buoy this fan base the most besides obviously pulling the upset tonight and getting a win? What do you think that most fans need to see to begin to believe, hey, okay, we've got the right staff. We're not there yet physically, but we're moving in the right direction. Let's watch this team climb, as they like to say, throughout the rest of this year and see how much better they get week to week. What do you need to see? What do you think they need to see in order to feel that way walking out of the stadium tonight?
I mean, I think from a fan's perspective, a competitive game, like one way or the other, be in the game in the fourth quarter where like the crowd can make a difference and the crowd can matter. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna translate into immediate success. You go back to that 11 Oklahoma game. That crowd was into the game, and Florida State competed their tail off against the team that embarrassed them the year before, and all that did was start a 3-game losing streak. So it doesn't mean, they ended up losing to Wake Forest 2 weeks later. So it doesn't mean that the thing is turned around, but I think if you see a competitive game, you see a team with some fight, and I know that's nebulous, it's kind of be hard to define, but you know when you see it.
Mm-hmm.
And these Florida State fans have gotten used to seeing a team kind of, when they get down, just spiral. And if you can see some fight, and that's what we liked so much about the Notre Dame game last year, right? Like they showed some fight when it didn't matter, when the game was over. They were in the game in the second half. They had that goal line stand when it was over. They got down to the 1 in the fourth quarter. They could have cut it to a 1-score game. Like they were in there and playing hard and competing and believing seemingly. So that's what you want to see, man. You just think about the last losses this fan base has seen. That Pitt game, the NC State game. Those were gross. You don't want to see that. Notre Dame's good. Notre Dame might just be better than you, but that doesn't mean you have to just stand there and let them roll over you. So I think that would go a long way, just showing that you can compete and you can battle.
You and I both get asked, as does everybody who covers this team for Warchant.com, or really anybody that's on the beat, why it is that, by and large, I think most who cover this team believe that Mike Norvell will eventually get this done. He will get this thing turned around. I know you wrote about it for Warchant.com today, that you have faith in him, that you believe in him. What was it you saw in spring on into camp this year that you think would probably be something that Florida State fans would like to hear about why it is you believe that? Because we all got our reasons that we think Mike's maybe the right guy and appears to be the right guy, but what would be yours?
So there's a message that he never stops saying. It is clear, it's concise, it's the message that he's always given to his players. And we might think it's hokey, we climb and get 1% better, but it's something he believes in. Like it's not just lip service. It is something that he believes in, and he got Memphis to do that. He's wanted Memphis. He sustained a program that was good and sustained it and made it better with these ideals. And so you take that, you and I have talked to coaches off the record. We've talked to his coaches.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked to players, and they believe in the guy. You can tell when a coach, and look, man, a lot of these guys, I'm not throwing anybody on the bus. A lot of these guys are like mercenaries, right? They just go from job to job. Who pays them? They're loyal to a paycheck like all of us are. But the way they talk about Norvell seems genuine. Like they really, really believe in this dude. And some of them want to hitch their wagons to this guy because they think he's the next, he could be one of the next really good coaches in college football. And then you top that with what he does on the recruiting trail when he doesn't have a great product to sell. So what's it going to look like when he does have a great product to sell? That's what gives me belief that he is so organized on the recruiting trail. He's so organized in practice, as you've seen. I just think it's a combination that could be really good for Florida State for a while.
Enjoy the game, brother. I'll see you over there. Be well, and I'll always appreciate it.
I love you.
I love you too, Corey. Thank you, brother. It seems like everybody's got a chicken sandwich these days, so how do you know which one to try? Luckily, one sandwich towers above all others in size and deliciousness. Zaxby's signature sandwich. It's an extra large hand-breaded filet and 3 thick cut, not chick cut, pickle chips on a split top bun. And it comes with your choice of Zaxby sauce or new spicy Zax sauce, which I had earlier today. And I can tell you that is good. The spicy is where it's at, guys. It's big. It's delicious. It's only at your neighborhood Tallahassee Zaxby's, a proud supporter of the Florida State Seminoles. More Tallahassee Game Day in a moment.
Tune in every Sunday from 2 to 3.
Son, listen up. This has gone on way too long. If we're going to win this thing, we've got to go big.
Introducing Zaxby's new signature sandwich with a double hand-breaded filet, split top bun, and Zax sauce or new spicy Zax sauce. Only at Zaxby's. Redeem rewards, scan to pay, order ahead on the Zaxby's app.
Air duct system and make you miserable. Fact is, we're all spending more time indoors now than ever before, and your allergies, asthma, sinus congestion, headaches, and drowsiness can all be attributed to those little devils hiding in your home. But what can you do? Well, it's easy. You call E&B Heating and Air and ask about air purifiers and ionizers that promote healthier air and can kill up to 99% of the viruses, mold, and bacteria polluting your home. E&B is also offering spring specials on air duct cleanings for just $4.99 and an AC tune-up for $99. For a healthier home, call E&B Heating and Air today at 848-0187. That's 848-0187. Or just find them online at enbheatingandair.com. They sell the best, fix the rest, or it's free.
License number CAC 057604.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Summertime is color time. This summer, why not spend your time off with a home improvement project? You can use this time to try one of the most popular DIY projects, painting. And you can find your favorite color with one of America's most popular paints, Benjamin Moore. Shop for all the best paint colors and paint supplies at Epps Decorating Center with 2 convenient locations in town. Find out more online at epsdecorating.com.
If you're an attorney who struggles with the balance of managing your practice and practicing law, consider Lexicon as your #1 pick. From client intake to billing and all that comes in between, Lexicon doesn't miss a thing. Our comprehensive solution combines best-in-class software and services to take care of your firm's most critical challenges, automating many of the tasks that take time out of your day. It's all about giving you more of your billable hours back. And who doesn't love more revenue? No more searching for practice management that works. Lexicon marks the spot. Visit lexiconservices.com to learn what Lexicon can do for you.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Lane's Medical Shop is proud to announce the opening of their newest location at 800 North Wiley Avenue in Donaldsonville. Lane's Medical Shop, Southwest Georgia's oldest running durable medical equipment provider, specializing in home medical equipment. They accept and file most insurances, including Medicare and United Healthcare and many more. Lane's Medical Shop, locations now in Colquitt and Donaldsonville. Stop by and see owner Blake Womble and staff or call 758-9111 in Colquitt or 524-1292 in Donaldsonville.
Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Zaxby's, the official chicken of sports fans. Tallahassee Zaxby's, proudly supporting Florida State University and Seminole Boosters for over 10 years. Zaxby's, indescribably good. Now here's Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang.
It's time for Who's Hot, Who's Cold, brought to you by Barano Heating and Air Conditioning, a longtime trusted partner of the Jeff Cameron Show. Turn to the experts at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning for all your cooling and heating needs this fall. Head to baranoac.com or call 850-580-4029. We always appreciate our friends at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning. Who's hot, who's cold? Well, that's an interesting question since we haven't played a game. But I will tell you that, Tom, I think without question, you have to say Jordan Travis. This was, I think in the eyes of many, a foregone conclusion that Mackenzie Milton didn't transfer to come sit and that the coaches wanted him for a reason. Jordan did a lot of things with his legs a year ago, but he was not a consistently solid passer from the pocket and obvious passing downs. And that really allowed teams to kind of dictate terms for Florida State. And this is a guy that I really I'll admit, I don't know that I wrote him off completely, but I did say to you and anybody who would listen, he's got a long, long way to go. I need to see consistency within the pocket. I need to see accuracy. I need to see touch. I need to see a lot of things I didn't see a lot of a year ago. And, when Mackenzie Milton makes the announcement that he's coming here, I thought if he's healthy, there's a guy that's proven it against big-time competition. He's put up huge numbers. Likely he'll win the job. And then Jordan had a good spring, and at the very end of spring, Mackenzie got better, and you thought, okay, well, he's coming on at just the right time. He's starting to learn the offense. By the time they get around to the fall, he'll know everything, and he'll beat Jordan out. And for a multitude of reasons, that just simply didn't happen, or certainly it wasn't overwhelmingly so. And I think the indicators seem to be, to me tonight, we don't know because Mike has not officially named a starting quarterback. And I understand why he wouldn't. I mean, you want Notre Dame to have to prepare for both. But I get the sense that Jordan will be the primary quarterback tonight. That's the feeling I get just from having watched who got what reps in terms of being available. And, I know load management was something that was talked about at length. So whether it's injury or speculation or load management or whatever it might be, if one guy's getting a lot of reps and another guy's not for any reason, you tend to think that predominantly he's going to be the guy, but also the quality of the work that he put in. He looked like a different guy. So I commend him. He was accurate. He was consistent. I think he probably won over a lot of guys like myself who thought, oh, well, I didn't know you had that in you. So he played really well. I'm rooting for him tonight. I root for these kinds of stories to play out because I love a guy that won't take no for an answer, a guy that's saying, no, I can get better. I know I got to get better. I got you. I'm going to get bigger and stronger, and I'm going to get more accurate, and I'm going to work my ass off and compete for this job. And he did it. He was dignified in the way that he did it. He was not like off-putting in the sense that he was angry about a transfer coming in. Nope. He just put his head down and worked hard. So good for you, Jordan Travis. I'd say he coming into this game, he'd be who's hot.
Yeah, one thing I'd say about the relationship between Jordan Travis and Mackenzie Milton is it seemed even way back at the ACC kickoff, which was the first time, it was an awkward setting. ACC coaches could bring 3 players, and we brought 2 quarterbacks. That's kind of awkward. You're almost inviting questions about controversial things because in the grand scheme of not off-the-field distractions, controversy in football is what? Who's going to play? Who's going to start? And they seem to get along fine. They were even saying the same things about each other, talking about the first time they met, collaborating in the film room. It doesn't seem to be that it was a contentious quarterback battle. I think that's important, too. When you're trying to steer a locker room out of a toxic place and into a place that's collaborative, you can't have the quarterbacks fighting, especially as you're trying to determine who your starter is. So I think he's a great choice for who's hot. Again, if you see the improvements in a game like we've seen in fall camp, we're going to like what we see out of Jordan
Well,
Travis.
and that's the big thing. He's got to do it in a game, because we can talk about practice all damn day, but people need to see him make plays in a game from the pocket, be consistent. So, again, I'm rooting for it tonight. I don't know if it's going to happen, but he had the kind of camp that leads you to believe it's possible.
So my answer for hot would be Jermaine Johnson. And I'm assuming that I'm looking at the count. We've got a lot of people watching this program. I don't know how many Noles fans who are watching the pregame show today pay attention closely to the offseason. Maybe spring game, maybe a little bit of stuff from fall camp. You should be always on Warchant TV and warchant.com. But Jermaine Johnson has checked off all the boxes that you could possibly hope for out of a transfer. Sometimes transfers can be simply mercenaries. They're there because they need more playing time, because they want to give themselves the best chance possible to get paid, and they don't care about anything else. Jermaine Johnson is not that guy. You had a chance to sit down with him and talk to him in the spring about why he came here, and it was more than just the amount of playing time. Of course, that goes into it, but he wanted to be a full-fledged leader on this defense, and when the freshmen came in for their first media availabilities, the kids that weren't here for spring, every defensive lineman, when they were asked who's reached out to you, they said Jermaine Johnson. He was the first name out of their mouths.
Yeah.
Jermaine has cared to be a Nole from day one. That's not always the case with a transfer, and he should, again, if camp is any indicator, and if the Georgia defensive line and edge rusher situation is any indicator, yeah, I could see why Jermaine wasn't going to be a starter on that team. My goodness. But he should have the game to back it up as well.
Jermaine's a kid, and I'll go on and add to your story there about what he's meant and the impact that he's had. He's a guy that I gravitated towards, at least in terms of learning about this team and who he was right from the get-go. If you're new to this and you haven't listened to, say, the Jeff Cameron Show Monday through Friday from 1 to 3 p.m., then you may have missed this, but I had a chance in the spring to be a guest coach and get immersed in game preparation, and then be down on the sidelines, wear the headset, listen to the coaches, call plays, do all that stuff. I also had a chance to go out to Coach Norvell's house. I've brought this up a lot for the local audience. They're probably rolling their eyes. They've heard it a lot. But for people who are on here today who don't know this, to further what you were saying about him as a leader, Jermaine was at Coach Norvell's house that night along with the rest of the team, and I just happened to be standing next to him. He's unmistakable. He's a massive individual. He looks the part of an NFL defensive end. He's a guy that came in and immediately reminded me of what Florida State used to be when we were right in 2013, 2014. And so I just began to talk with him, and I thought, well, let's see what this guy's about, because they're going to be trusting him to both be productive physically, but also be a leader. And he couldn't have been nicer. He couldn't have been more interesting. He was thoughtful. He took the time to listen to your question and think about how he wanted to answer it. But I did directly ask him, why did you choose Florida State? Because word on the street was he could have gone virtually anywhere. He has that kind of he's that caliber of player. And he said, and he pointed to Mike Norvell, who's kind of across the room at the time. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, well, he told me not what I wanted to hear, but perhaps what I needed to hear. And he asked of me to be a leader to help get this turned around without making promises of win totals or what bowl game or playoff or anything like that. He said, look, you're the kind of player that can come in here and play. Yes, that's why we want you. No mistake about it. You got to be able to play. But you're also the kind of guy who goes about his business in a way that provides leadership. And I need you to be that guy. I need you to teach these kids what it means in a weird way to almost be professional, to prepare yourself day in and day out, to study, to work out right, to take care of your body, to be dependable day in and day out at practice. And it was just interesting to listen to him talk about that. And then from there, he did it in camp every day. He was a fairly dominant player. And he's also a guy that's got a little edge to him. He's kind of nasty. And that's a good thing, too, because they have not been on defense at all. It's been false bravado for 3 years. And this, I want to see a guy who walks it, talks it, breathes it, does it.
So speaking generally, I think you can tell the story on the air that you told me about practice this week and seeing Jermaine's intensity.
Yeah.
As long as you don't say who he was going up against, I think you're allowed to speak on it. It's a good story, and it underscores what you're talking about with the edge.
Yeah, well, he got tired of a couple guys. It was two different players. One of them was the scout team guy who was really kind of excited to be out there, let's say, and Jermaine was having none of it. Slung him to the ground and kind of stood over him for a second. And it was funny because the coaches, hey, and he wasn't hearing it. He just turned around, walked back, and then on the next play did it again. So he's not there to make you feel good about yourself. It was time. He was setting the tone. He wasn't going to deal with any of that nonsense where you're a little overzealous on a play, maybe thinking you're something you're not. He wanted the person to know who he was and what he was about. And, I saw that this week to various extents. I mean, you obviously are dialing it back as you get set for a game. But those guys that are being counted on the defensive side, Jermaine Jones showed it this past week. There's a guy that I think you'll see tonight play. I don't know how much as he gets back in shape, but he's got an edge to him as well. They have a few guys like that right now. I think Lundy's that way. I'll tell you that right now. I think he's that way.
Kevin Noles is like that.
Yeah, Shaheem Brown's that way. They've got a few guys.
Jamie Robinson, who's a name. We talked about every other guy in the secondary on Friday, but not Jamie Robinson.
Right.
Yeah, they've got a lot of guys with some nastiness to them, and that is, I mean, how long have we been waiting? Well, like you're talking about, not the false bravado, like the actual act of being physical, playing physical, and then talking about it after.
My hope is that early that they answer the bell. That you come out and you play physical and you let Notre Dame know this is not a repeat. This is not going to be what you did a year ago or what you did the last time that we were there before that. It can't be. It just can't be because that is awfully difficult to watch. And again, that's not how defensive football is played. You got to play with great energy, focus, intensity, and obviously you got to be a little nasty. And we have not had that for some time. So hopefully we'll see some of that tonight. Good choice on Jermaine Johnson. We can't choose who's cold just yet because nobody's played. I mean, if you want to say who's cold, you want to pick somebody on Notre Dame's side? I don't know.
No, I just say a segment group that I'm concerned about that I want to see something out of. Well, I'll give you that one since I took your guy on the sub of the week earlier. Receivers and catching the football. That's something to watch tonight. The consistency of catching the football. This has been an issue, not just with one or two players. It's kind of been a segment type issue. And Mike Norvell has talked about it in after practices. So we need to be more consistent. Sometimes we make the harder catches and then the simple ones, we need to make sure we secure the football. That's one thing to watch tonight, because when you're going against a team that's better than you and you have to stack together 8 to 12 plays a drive in order to get into scoring territory, you can't have simple mistakes on the plays that you should get. And so one thing I'm going to be watching tonight, it's not just the freshmen, all the receivers. Are they consistently, they put their bodies in the right position? Are they going to come down with the football?
Whew, I get nervous thinking about it because there are a couple of big question marks. And
they make tough catches too, though. It's not like, it's like,
weird.
This is hopeless.
Yeah, they are. They're kind of weird, without question. In a minute, we'll get to the defensive keys to the game. But first, another reminder, Tallahassee Noles, take note. This one is for you, announcing the Bud Light Sideline Experience Contest. If you're a Nole in Tallahassee, text Bud Light Fan, all one word, to 31996. That's Bud Light Fan, all one word, to 31996. If you're the lucky winner, you're going to score 2 sideline passes, hospitality passes, and fan gear for the FSU Miami game on November the 13th. You got to be 21 years of age or older to enter. Please enjoy responsibly. A message from local Anheuser-Busch beverage distributor Tri-Eagle Sales. More Tallahassee Game Day in a moment.
A salad made with only the freshest vegetables, with grilled or hand-breaded chicken, and topped with Southwest Ranch dressing. Big enough to fill you up without weighing you down. Made to order, when you order, in that order. Try our new Southwest salad with fire-roasted corn, tomatoes, and crispy tortilla strips. Just one of our made-to-order salads, only at Zaxby's. Redeem rewards, scan to pay, order ahead on the Zaxby's app.
I've have less than $25,000 in savings heading into retirement, and 34% have no savings at all. Maximizing your Social Security benefits is going to be a significant part of planning for the road ahead. If this sounds like you, or maybe even a loved one, give me a call. I can help. I'm Craig Collins with Collins Income Tax Solutions, and I'm offering free consultations to anyone looking to learn how to maximize their Social Security benefits. You can find me online at collinsincometexsolutionsllc.com.
It all started with a simple family dream, some hard work, and the foundation of honest, loyal, and fair customer service. Now, Spartan Stoneworks is Tallahassee's premier granite, marble, and quartz specialist. Your kitchen is your family's gathering place, so let a company with strong family values bring your kitchen back to life. Stop wishing for your new kitchen and call Spartan Stoneworks today at 510-4249. That's 510-4249. Online at SpartanStoneworks.com.
The best happy hour in Tallahassee just got happier. Wednesdays at Wahoo Seafood Grill, enjoy half-off appetizers from 3 to 7 p.m. Calamari, boom boom shrimp, gator tails, mudbug fries, and more. All half price from 3 to 7 p.m. every Wednesday. And if you're looking for a fresh lunch to break up the day, Wahoo serves up fresh fish tacos, sandwiches, and po' boys all week long for under $10. Visit Wahoo Seafood Grill today on North Monroe Street. Check out the full menu and order online at wahooseafoodgrill.com.
Hi, I'm Jeff, founder of Which Superior Sandwiches, and I'm here to tell you about our signature Which, the Wicked. Why call it the Wicked? Some say it's wicked tasty, some say it's wicked large. One thing's for sure, with oven-roasted turkey, ham, pepperoni, roast beef, and bacon, as well as your choice of 3 cheeses, it definitely takes you from wicked hungry to wicked happy in just a few wicked good bites. Only at Which Superior Sandwiches.
On Wednesday, the Wicked is just $5. 5 meats, 3 cheeses, $5.
Greg Tish, Real Talk 93.3.
Hey everybody, this is Greg Tish. Thank you so much for listening to Real Talk 93.3. Don't forget you can check out me and Maddie Rowe every Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the Greg Tish Show. Wake up with a smile with the Greg Tish Show. How's that sound, Maddie Rowe? Is that a good promo for you?
That's good enough for me.
Is that good? Are we
It's
at
good for
30
everybody.
seconds yet?
Right about now.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Zaxby's, the official chicken of sports fans. Tallahassee Zaxby's, proudly supporting Florida State University and Seminole Boosters for over 10 years. Zaxby's, indescribably good. Now here's Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang.
Rolling through Tallahassee Game Day. We're getting closer and closer. Hang in there. I can see it. They're going to play football tonight. We're finally going to get to see a game.
I don't know that your camera is maintaining. It's gone blurry. It needs a water. I think it needs to hydrate.
There's
a Cat 5 ordinance camera.
Yeah, let's get this fixed.
You're so
up here.
close.
There we go. I'm fixing it as we speak. There we go. It's working now, right? There it is.
It's Magoo Cam.
Oh, goodness gracious.
It's all right.
It's fixed now. A little update on the Tour Championship, just because I know some of you out there care. Patrick Cantlay has a 2-stroke lead over John Rahm on 16.
You know, I watched the Solheim Cup this morning. That's how I got through.
Were we getting smoked when you last watched too?
So we were down 6.5 to 2.5 to start the session, rallied like hell, and got it to a 1-point deficit. 6.5, 5.5. Now, I don't know what the afternoon did. We might be losing by a lot or winning. I don't know.
No thanks to
it was good television.
No thanks to a certain woman who never steps up in these things. I'm tired of her being on the team. We're going to have to move on from her. But that's not what this is about. I'm not going to do that right here.
Sure.
We're By the way, another side note, we have NFL football this next week, and the Cowboys are losing guys to COVID. Tragic.
Zach Martin is out.
It's a toughie.
That's a big deal.
It's a shame.
That's one thing that, I mean, everybody with bated breath, I think, this year, Nole fans, everybody, for your Saturday teams and your Sunday teams, you just want to make sure that when everybody goes through the warm-ups, all numbers are accounted for. Yeah,
I agree. Really quick, want to note here, it's time for the keys to the game defensively for Florida State. And before I get to it, I want to note one more time that our friends at Zaxby's, we appreciate you so much for sponsoring the show. I've told you about the many easy ways to order ahead and go online or get the app, whatever it might be. Tom's holding up the Zaxby chicken. That's a good thing. Go get you one of these platters. I got a massive platter over here to my left. There's no way that I could eat all of this with Tom and Matthew alone. So this is going to get dispersed as we leave the studio to go over to the stadium.
Yes.
We'll pass these out amongst family and friends.
There have been requests. I can just put it that way.
Yeah, I got the same thing. I mentioned earlier in the show about the Irish offense and how much change they've gone through. Tommy Rees is in his second year as the offensive coordinator. Their game plans are notoriously bland, and I don't mean that as a criticism. I think if you have an identity, and that is to have year in and year out one of the better offensive lines in the country. You establish the run. You run a lot of double tight sets. They've got, at times, 10% of their offensive plays under him came with 3 tight ends on the field. They will line up and bludgeon you. Those guys can also make plays. I would say I'm going to be very interested to see who it is, Tom. There's a lot of things that I would circle here, but I'm curious. Michael Mayer is an NFL tight end. He's only in year 2. He lit it up as a freshman. They call him Baby Gronk. He is a mismatch against every team, including the really good ones on their schedule that they play this year. Defensive coordinators are going to be up at night trying to figure out a way to cover him and to deal with him. I don't know if we're going to use multiple people. My guess would be yes. I don't think any one guy can make this happen. But that's a guy that I'm really worried comes into Tallahassee tonight and has 8-9 catches. We're so worried about taking other things away, so worried about stopping the run that maybe you come up there and you're efforting to focus on one thing. That guy slips out a little bit. He's a playmaker. He gets in a 1-1 one-on-one matchup that's favorable for him, which most are, and then you got real problems on your hands. I just don't want to see a 9-catch, 120 yards, 2 TD night from that guy. He's absolutely capable.
I'd rather see that than Kyron Williams owning us like he did last year, though.
Yeah.
So you got to make a choice, because what's going to happen is, even though Notre Dame is bland and they use a lot of pro-style concepts, they will still run an RPO. And if you're smart,
everybody does these days.
So the two things you want to do to us are challenge us on the ground and see if we're man enough in the front four, especially dealing those body blows without the depth that it'll pay off in the second half. And then also, are we, smart enough at linebacker to handle being put in conflict? That's the key. I mean, they're going to run RPOs tonight. The question is, do we contain well enough? Do we read our keys well enough? Do we stick to our job well enough? And then can safeties clean up some of those messes for us? That's why they're there as well, to help out in those situations. The other thing about Jack Cohn, too, just in the RPO game, you do at least have to honor the run. He's not exactly the quickest dude in the world.
He's not a statue, but he's not.
But when he gets ahead of steam, it can be a problem. So you're going to have to honor all facets of an RPO game. But, I mean, you talked to Adam Fuller preseason about the idea of, well, if an opposing offense can expose a weakness early on, they're going to keep on hitting it. Yeah, the two things that Notre Dame's coming after against this Nole defense is toughness factor and then also the linebacker position. Those would be the two places I would go first and foremost.
Yeah, I'd want to test every one of those guys up front. Because, see, I think, again, between Fabian Lovett and Dennis Briggs, who's had a great camp, Jermaine Johnson, we've talked a lot about that, Kier Thomas, the guys up front I feel good about as starters. Robert Cooper coming in there, Quayshawn Fuller, Jared Jackson. They got enough guys to rotate that, okay, should be all right. They could get worn down. They're not incredibly deep, but they're good enough, stout enough, we would think, to be in it. But then from there, I want to know, how long does it last? Are they able to sustain the toughness that we're asking of them in the run game? Are they able to do that for 4 quarters? Because that's my biggest fear, is that they do it early, and we are in this game, and that's great. But it is a 4-quarter game, and Notre Dame is not going to deviate. They're going to continue to come at you. But if early on you can get them out away from the run game and make Jack throw the ball in obvious passing situations, there you go, Jermaine. This is why you were brought in. I mean, let's dial up some pressures here. It can't only be him, because they'll probably double him, but you've got to find a way to get home.
Well, the other thing, too, if you're just looking at the perimeter, Jack Cohn will test you down the field outside the numbers. He does not feel comfortable in general throwing between the hash marks. Yeah. And so, I mean, the seams might be something that they attack. Obviously, it's a 4 vertical offense, so the seams are definitely going to be part of it. But just judging by his Wisconsin film and then looking at the spring game, like our friend Lee Sterling would, it doesn't look like they really want to work the middle, and Jack, all things being equal, would rather turn the ball loose outside the numbers, out breaking routes, things like that. So I'm looking at our corners, our starting 2 corners, and if we rotate in more than that, guys on the outside. Is it going to be Jerrion Jones, Travis Jay? Is Brownlee going to be one of those players? How about Kevin Noles? And how many snaps does each player get? Because if you're in singles and we're trying to do something more exotic over the middle to account for deficiencies at linebacker and account for an RPO game or just the straight ahead running game, Cohn is going to take those chances. And what do we look like? Are we coached up better? Do we find the football? In trail for years, we didn't find the football. Are we better at that? Again, something in practice that I feel good about, but you got to do it in a game.
Man, I've been counting and it hasn't happened yet. Maybe you've turned the corner. Maybe you don't have the sort of fear that you had really every waking second that we talked about this defense, but I kept waiting for you to say the words Akeem Dent and your concerns about Akeem Dent. And it hasn't happened this entire segment. I gave you ample opportunity, and you let it alone.
So with the hot and cold, I really did think about it, but I decided to go with position groups. And it's not a knock on him. So Mike, when he moved from corner to safety this fall camp, and that's something he was at safety as a freshman under Harlan Barnett, things didn't go well in general.
No,
so you can imagine how that went.
Tough time.
He'd find the ball at times as safety, but then he wouldn't be able to bring it down. His hands were a little bit stonish.
Mm-hmm.
Mike was effusive when they made the switch. About 2-3 weeks ago, he announced that Akeem is going to be playing safety. Okay. He's seen a lot of bad things. He's been through a lot of bad times. And most of them are not his fault. Most of them just straight aren't his fault. He is a confident young man. He was interviewed a couple of weeks ago after practice before the assembled media. He seems to be comfortable, but I would test that as well if I'm Notre Dame. It seems like we've got more things carved out at corner. We've got more solutions at corner than we do safety. I know we feel good about Shaheem Brown. Sidney Williams could be a solid player for us as well. Brendan Gant. But we got to find out who our starting two are and who is reliable to clean up some messes. And maybe, hopefully, Akeem Dent is far more adept at it now than he was the last time he tried safety under Willie. So there's my answer. Fine, you got me.
Well, I was just waiting. I actually think he'll play okay tonight. I'm excited about the opportunity for him. He has had a lot of bad things happen, most of which aren't his fault. I do think there's ability in there, obviously. We know what he was in his recruitment, and in terms of being an athlete. He's elite. So you'd like to think that he's going to have, at some point, a moment where he turns the corner. Here's an opportunity. And I think he's surrounded by better players, too. That helps a lot, where you don't have to try to do everything yourself.
And or a pass rush.
Oh, imagine
makes
that.
you look a lot better.
Hey, circle it right now. I don't know why we didn't bring it up earlier, but Travis Jay is going to play well tonight. He's going to play well tonight, and he's had a great camp,
yes,
and he is an SOB, and I mean that as a compliment, because not only is he athletic, but he's finally healthy. He has not been healthy the entire time he's been here. People keep waiting on Travis Jay, man. They've asked him to do a million things, but they've settled the corner. He's long, he's physical, he's confident, and he'll talk to you about it. He's got a brashness to him that I really like. He's had a great camp. Play big tonight, Travis Jay. Let's see that step forward for him as well. Something we can then fall back on and count on week in, week out. We haven't not had consistency over there at all.
There's a lot of guys I know right now from seeing the spring and fall camp that can get downhill and make plays. The reason I keep bringing up the throws outside the numbers and down the field is I don't know that our receiving core is all that good in terms of testing our corners, that particular part of their game.
Yeah.
So I do want to see that with different jerseys and different helmets.
Mm-hmm.
If they can handle it, and if there is one player I would say that can handle that situation and make it look really silky smooth, it's Travis Jay.
Yeah, he's an incredible athlete.
The wingspan to go with the height, he is the modern day defensive back.
Crossing my fingers, friend. Crossing my fingers. I gave you everything there is to give you about ordering sandwiches from Zaxby's. I don't know that I can tell you another way to do this. I'm not.
You can get a free signature sandwich if you download the app. That's one thing.
There it is.
There it is.
More Tallahassee Game Day in a moment.
New deals and news.
Attention! It's enough. This has gone on way too long. If we're going to win this thing, we've got to go big.
Introducing Zaxby's new signature sandwich with a double hand-breaded filet, split top bun, and Zax sauce, or new spicy Zax sauce. Only at Zaxby's. Redeem rewards, scan to pay, order ahead on the Zaxby's app.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Getting your roof inspected can save you thousands of dollars in the event of a major storm. Not to mention the peace of mind knowing that you and your family are protected. At Parker Brothers Roofing, we make it easy with free estimates, affordable financing, and professional installation every time since 1995. Call 656-8112 or visit parkerbrothersroofing.net today.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Tallahassee's 30-year-old Funny Paper and American Legion Post 13 have joined forces to become Major Morale. The new magazine has 4 more pages of post activities and military information that you probably never knew. But don't worry, it's still as politically correct and newsworthy as always. Okay, it's the same funny stuff, but it's still only available at the sponsors' locations like ABC Flooring, Tallahassee Automobile Museum, Krispy Kreme, or Keith Lawson Services, providing professional services and maintenance for your home's most critical systems for over 39 years. If you need air conditioning, heating, or plumbing repairs, you will receive an upfront written quote, and the job will be done on time by the area's most advanced, highly trained professionals. Keith Lawson Services, Florida license CMC 1250-456 and CFC 1429-197.
Our friends at Triangle Sales bring you an opportunity to enjoy a one-of-a-kind experience presented by Bud Light. It's the Bud Light Sideline Experience Contest. If you're a Nole in Tallahassee, text Bud Light Fan, all one word, to 31996. That's Bud Light Fan to 31996. If you're the lucky winner, you score 2 sideline passes, hospitality passes, and fan gear for the FSU and Miami game on November 13th. That's Bud Light Fan, all one word, to 31996. Must be 21 or older to enter. Please enjoy Bud Light responsibly. A message from local Anheuser-Busch distributor Triangle Sales.
Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Zaxby's, the official chicken of sports fans. Tallahassee Zaxby's, proudly supporting Florida State University and Seminole Boosters for over 10 years. Zaxby's, indescribably good. Now here's Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang.
And it's about that time. Today's final predictions are brought to you by Lane's Medical Shop. With locations in Colquitt and Donaldsonville, Lane's Medical Shop offers your medical supply needs. They even have delivery and emergency service available as well. Lane's Medical Shop, 229-228-5811. Tell them Jeff Cameron and Warchant.com sent you for half off. That's the kind of discount we're talking about here, a little half off. Woo!
That's what I call an incentive.
229-228-5811, Lane's Medical Shop. I have gone back and forth on this just as everybody has. Looks like Cantlay won by a stroke, Tom.
Is that right? Well, good for him.
One stroke. Good.
It's a $10 million day.
It's a good day at the office. So I'll say this. Through much of the summer, when I thought about this game and how far Florida State had to go, I really didn't see a very high percentage chance for Florida State to win the game. And when I was asked about it, I would generally say, I was somewhere in the neighborhood of 10% chance to win the game. I've increased that, by the way, because of the consistency with which they practiced, the intensity with which they practiced, and the health that they were able to sustain throughout practice. I do think there is a plan in place. I do think this staff has provided a consistent message that has led to a consistent work ethic. I do think there's a toughness that hasn't been here in some time to these kids because of how hard they've worked. Now, that's nice. That's a good thing. It's something that gives you hope for the future. You have to balance all of that with the idea that they've not been able to really raise the floor in terms of capability all that much. The segment groups aren't that much deeper, if at all. The talent is spotty by Florida State standards, And so you worry. I mean, the continuity of a program, I understand they've got a new coordinator, but he's one of the elite defensive coordinators in the country in Freeman. So I'm going to suspect that he's going to come in and do a good job for Notre Dame. But the head man stayed the same, and that continuity in the way that in which Notre Dame works was able to go from year to year. And they have been just outside that upper echelon group. They've gotten their opportunities, and they get their head kicked in when they get there. But that said, they're right there. They're right on the outer banks of that, right? I think the 5th or 6th slot, somewhere around there. Florida State's not been anywhere near that. And I worry that the change will be good. The effort will be great. They won't have the horses to last for 4 quarters. And that gets me to my prediction. I think we do see a game well into the second half. That in and of itself would be different than anything we saw at all last year, save for one game against North Carolina where there was magic in the moonlight. Other than that, Florida State got blown out against anybody they were underdogs against and really didn't sustain a level of competitiveness that any of us would find acceptable at a place like Florida State. That changes tonight. But I'm going to take Notre Dame to win the game. I've kind of waffled back and forth. Score predictions are kind of ridiculous anyhow. I think we lose by a couple scores. They pull away late. 37-24, 34-21, somewhere in that neighborhood.
For me, I think I was talking to the army of Zaxby's chickens here, and they wanted me to call for the upset. They asked me to call for the upset. I can't listen to them, though. I can't go that far. I've gone back and forth. The report, I picked Notre Dame. The matchup analysis, I picked Florida State. I think this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be an entertaining game down to the wire.
Wow.
What I'm more sure about, and I'm sure to be wrong, and we could talk about it on the post-game show, which comes up 10 minutes after the conclusion of tonight's events.
Hey, everybody, listen up. We've got you covered at Warchant.com, to say the least. We have the pregame show. We've got the in-game coverage from all of our guys, our staff, following along on Twitter, wherever else you want to follow along. And then the post-game show, which Tom will be up doing with Gene Williams until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
That is correct. So I'm sure to be wrong, and I'll have to answer for it right away. I feel like the under, and I'm not trying to make a gambling pick per se, but Vegas believes this game to be in the mid 50s. As of yesterday, I think 55 was the total number between the two teams. I feel like the winning score is 27-21. I feel like it's a low scoring game. We've seen some low scoring games around the country this weekend, most notably last night, a 10-3 affair in Charlotte, which was crazy. I think this is a game where defenses will play well. Offenses will look sloppy. At that point, if you're talking about a one-score football game that's low scoring, it's turnover luck and it's details. If we're detailed enough to win a close game over Notre Dame in the real year one under Mike Norvell, the trajectory of this season and the expectations for it change radically, especially with what we saw on Friday night between North Carolina and Virginia Tech. That changes things. Maybe the game against Boston College down the stretch, you feel a little bit different about if we get this win tonight. I think it's going to come down to details, though, and that's already a win by itself because that shows you the market progress we're trying to show recruits and show our fan base.
You know, we didn't talk about kicking for a reason, I think. I'll just say that when you're talking about a close game, Tom, and we are, if your prediction comes to pass, this thing comes down to the nitty-gritty, I think we're all going to be very, very nervous because I'm not sure that we're going to be consistent when it comes to kicking field goals outside of, say, 35 yards. I don't see it.
Perhaps the 27-21 figure is about a PAT and not two made field goals.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I worry
Fitzgerald
about...
was better, but yeah, it's hard. Like, okay, first drive, go down the field, stall, 38-yard attempt. How do you feel?
38?
38-yard attempt.
Got to make a 38-yard field goal if we're going to upset Notre Dame tonight, baby.
You said no chance on the show a few weeks ago, so I wanted to see if you feel better about things.
You know, a few weeks ago, I said no chance, and a lot of that had to do with having come off the practice field.
Right, yeah.
And watching many a kick from around 38 not sail anywhere between the uprights, but rather woefully wide. They got better. Just going to say they need to make 38-yard field goals, Tom. They got to make 38-yard field goals.
Will you watch the kick?
I have no choice.
No score.
Hey,
11:52 to go. Drive stalls.
Yeah,
first quarter.
I'll watch it.
You'll watch it?
Yeah, I'm going to watch it.
All right.
Hey, so the bottom line is tonight, guys, just as an aside, I'm really excited to do this. I'm going as a Nole. I put my fan hat back on. I'm not going to be objective in any way. I'm not going up to that press box. I'm not going up in my traditional seat up on the roof where I like to really analyze it. I'm going with my dad and my two boys as fans, as Noles. We're going to cheer our lungs out, and hope like hell that Florida State can pull the upset. I will not be objective. I will be watching. I will be screaming when Notre Dame has the ball and we're on defense trying to make that place as difficult to play as possible. I'll go back and rewatch tomorrow morning before we come back on the air at 1 o'clock for the Jeff Cameron show, because I'm going to need to be objective there and look at how and why the game played out the way that it did. But yeah, tonight I'm going just as a Nole.
I've already seen some responses on social media regarding the 50-yard line seat upgrade contest. You're going to hear about that in a second. But for the YouTube audience, we're going to say goodbye to you after that so we can play the Warchant and not get dinged on YouTube and get restricted from further broadcasts. But I will say one thing for me tonight, I'll be watching from the house, because the post-game show, I'm going to be doing that from my office upstairs. I believe, I haven't checked this yet on Watch ESPN, but typically when they have the only game in town, you can go to Watch ESPN on top of the live broadcast and go get the wire cam.
Yeah.
I got the two TVs downstairs. So if they're going to grant me a second look, I'm going to take the second look so I can see what's going on and see in the trenches if we look better. I've got hope about the trenches on both sides of the football, not to be world beaters on the offensive line, but to be competent. And maybe to be disruptive, more disruptive than people are giving us credit for on the defensive line, especially with Jermaine Johnson working against a freshman left tackle. I know it's a Notre Dame recruit, but if you got Jermaine Johnson working on a freshman, that could be
I'd like
fruitful.
to think that you could take advantage of that. Sure, I agree with that. I will also ask you, Tom, as a favor to your boy here, if you do get that secondary TV up and running, you're able to get the more advantageous camera shot, please text me from time to time. Give me a little heads up on some of the trends you're seeing there that maybe it's a little bit more difficult to see in person.
Almost like back in the day in the Boston College seats when I said right tackle every play.
I know, every play.
Every play.
Well, I just was laughing about it because I could see it too, and then you kept getting madder and madder.
If you're watching 20 consecutive reps, you got to win one, right?
Yeah,
like that was the unbelievable.
Win a rep,
it's like watching Bryson with a 6-footer last week. It's amazing. They should go in at some point.
Really quick, let me tell you about this contest again before we sign off. The Zaxby's GameDay VIP upgrade contest in flight. Zaxby's has donated their season tickets to you. You heard that right. For every home game this year, Zaxby's is hooking up one lucky fan with the ultimate seating upgrade. You can win a pair of 50-yard line seats. Great seats, perfect seats, the best seats, Tom, to the Noles next home game. All you have to do is head to Twitter, tag Warchant and Zaxby's with a photo or video of your Nole experience. You can shoot a video of your tailgate, your fan cave, your reaction to a big play, whatever it might be, whatever being a Nole means to you. We want to see it. We'll select the winner the Wednesday before the Noles next home game and then show off your entry during our next pregame show. By the way, that's in just 3 days that we're going to need to select this, so you got to get to work. Make sure to tag Warchant and Zaxby's with your fan photo or video, and good luck to you all. Our thanks to Zaxby's, the official chicken of sports fans, for providing the tickets all season long. So did you say basically that you had Notre Dame winning 27-21 or us?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I said the under is what I said.
You took the under.
I took the coward's way out, but I think it's going to be a sloppy ball game, and that's okay by me. If it's within one score, then we're going to be very interested down the stretch.
Trying to get a feel for that quarterback room. Guys have asked about this in the chat here towards the end of the show. I thought all week long and said as much. I'm not there at the stadium currently, so I can't check warm-ups. I am on my way over there as soon as this ends. But I feel like Jordan Travis is going to get the bulk of the reps tonight. Yeah. I've thought that all along for what I thought were seemingly obvious reasons just because of the repetition.
From what it sounds like over there at the stadium, Mackenzie Milton may be the last one to arrive in the pregame warm-ups. We'll see if he should. This has been like fans are now experiencing what we admit as media experienced during camp, which is like, hey, all right, let's just take a look and see who's okay. We're going to be writing updates today about Jordan.
Yeah,
a lot of Shelby Purdy updates today.
Right.
Look at that little Tate Rodemaker update. Let's make sure that we're doing that. So everybody's looking to see if 10 emerges. Maybe he's a little bit late. If he's getting extra treatment, I can't imagine why, or maybe I absolutely can because of the devastating injury he suffered.
Yeah. So Mackenzie, load management's real.
Deload.
Some other stuff that doesn't have to do with that probably kept him away as well. So we're going to need to
see you YouTubers. See you for the post game.
That's tonight after the game. Make sure you join Tom and Gene as they get set for the post game.